Hey guys, it's Greg with By the Bootstraps, btbootstraps.com. Check out the stores, check out the social media, links will be below. Today's video is about impeachment! Yay! Or impeachment inquiry. This story came out yesterday that finally the Democrat House has decided that they're going to launch an official impeachment inquiry, which it's all based on the predication that supposedly Trump had spoken to the new elected president of Ukraine and had asked to bring up allegations of corruption regarding Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son Hunter. Now, what we were told is that a whistleblower who had reported to the House Democrats that Trump had intimidated or tried to blackmail by withholding military funding to Ukraine had got wind of this or heard this, and that he had reported it, and that now the Democrats are up in arms saying that Trump needs to be impeached, or at least needs to be investigated to possibly be impeached. Now, there's several questions I have, well, and some observations. It's very funny when they say they're going to launch an official investigation, when in all seriousness they've been in an official investigation since January of 2017. Technically speaking, really beforehand. Because even beforehand, they'd come out and say that they were going to do everything in their power to impeach Trump. Whether he did anything right, wrong, doesn't matter. They were going to impeach him. I mean, that's been a mantra for the last, what, two and a half years? First it was Russia, Russia, Russia. They were going to find something with Russia. That didn't come up. Then it was going to be collusion, collusion, collusion. Came back, William Barr said that they didn't charge him, there wasn't enough evidence for it, so he wasn't charged with collusion. Which they say, well, that exonerated him or didn't exonerate him. That's not the point. The point is, if there's not a charge to be charged with, you can't say that, oh, he was let off from being charged with collusion when he was never officially charged with it anyway. You just can't pinpoint a crime on someone and then say that, again, we have the presumption of innocence in this country. You have to be proven to have committed a crime, not just assumed you committed a crime. And with William Barr's case and the whole entire Mueller report, saying that he didn't collude, or coming out and saying that he didn't collude, is not the same that he did collude. That's a misnomenclature or a misinterpretation that drives me nuts. Because basically you're saying, oh, because you weren't exonerated with those words exactly, therefore you must be guilty. That's not how our country works. All right? And I don't want to make this video sound like, oh, well, you're just saying it because you're pro-Trump and you're Republican. No, I'm not. I would be saying this if this was anyone. It doesn't matter what side, doesn't matter who you believe in, doesn't matter what you believe in. We have rules and laws in our country that are being trampled by one party in this nation. And if the other party were doing the same thing, I would gladly sit here and make these videos and say the exact same thing. All right? But here, a couple questions that I want answered is that if supposedly, Trump is being accused of doing this stuff and that there was a whistleblower. Okay, well, correct me if I'm wrong. And granted, I don't know all the statutory laws, so I don't want to I don't want to come out here and say that I'm an expert on this stuff, because I'm not. But I was under the under the assumption that presidents don't qualify under that whistleblower law, because that is in reference to intelligence agencies. Okay? So if the president is not included in that, who's the whistleblower? How did they get the information? Supposedly. That is yet another leak in the White House, which these are treasonous crimes. To report the conversations of the president, which are not for the preview of most anyone else. Being the president, you have executive privileges. Obama certainly had his executive privileges, but no one seemed to care about that. No one seemed to care when he dropped $150 billion worth of money out the back of a cargo plane to Iran. Oh, without the approval of Congress, might I add, which I guess you could say on one hand, that's treasonous. Giving money to a terroristic state. Yeah, really smart. Or the meddling in the election of Israel. We're so concerned about Russia. What did we pay our federal dollars to do with Israel's prime minister election under Obama's reign? No one seemed to care about that. Or the famous, I'll have more leeway after the election. And they said to that Russian diplomat that just happened to be caught on a hot mic. Again, no one seemed to care about that. So they're picking and choosing what is actually important, what's not important. I personally don't give a damn one way or the other. There's a lot of questions that come up, and again, this would apply to either side. Okay, so it's not just one side versus the other side. If Republicans were doing this and a Democrat was inquiring, I'd say they'd have every right to do the same thing, right? But when you have Joe Biden's son collecting $50,000 a month to work at a company and an industry that he has no area of expertise of, how did he get that job? What afforded him the privileges to get that job? How is he qualified, right? Well, we don't even have to ask those questions because Joe Biden, in his infinite idiocy in 2016, was caught on camera talking about how he withheld a $1 billion deal that was going to be given to Ukraine if they didn't fire the prosecutor of the man who was looking into his son's dealings, right? You don't have to argue that. You can Google that. It's on Google. It's on YouTube. You can look it up yourself. He was sitting there laughing and joking. Well, he was the vice president at that time when that happened. Not in 2016. That's when it was recorded. It happened previously, right? How is that not corruption? So you're going to go after what you think Trump might have said versus actually charging and looking and investigating into what the man openly admitted. And yet he's running for president. So Nancy Pelosi comes out and says that no one is above the law. Well, apparently, yeah, they are. Apparently, if you're Hillary Clinton, you can destroy classified information and get away with it. Apparently, if you're Joe Biden, you can intimidate and force the firing of a prosecutor who's looking into your son's shady business dealings, and that's perfectly fine, even though you used the government and the power of the state to make that happen. That's totally fine. Apparently, if you're Obama, you can drop off $150 billion out of the back of a cargo plane without the approval of Congress, and that's perfectly fine. You beat Bill Clinton on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch, I can never say her name, who was at the moment investigating Hillary's server issue. Oh, they were on the tarmac for 45 minutes. They talked about grandkids and golfing. Yeah, okay. They just so happened to meet up in the middle of an Arizona tarmac, even though neither one of them live in that area. All that's acceptable. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But a unsubstantiated claim about a whistleblower, which, by the way, should not have access to this information, and the fact that it's now out in public. I know that Trump released his transcripts, or his written memo transcripts of what the information they gathered, and of course people say, that's not good enough, it's not good enough. It never is good enough. If Pelosi had the balls, ironic, if she had the balls to actually, put these people's feet to the fire and make them accountable, she'd bring this up to a vote in the House. Otherwise, this is just more rhetoric and BS. The only reason why I say this, not because I'm the biggest Trump supporter. I know that I do support him, but I'm not the biggest Trump supporter. I've said this multiple times. There's other people I would have voted for. But it's been 2.5 years. They said from the get-go that they wanted him gone. They wanted him impeached. All right? The man, whether you like his rhetoric or not, is actually doing quite a bit. Hell of a lot more than Obama did. But yet, so many people willfully ignore his accomplishments and his facts. Highest, lowest unemployment rate of all time. More people out of poverty. More more employment for Black Americans, for Hispanics, for women. Almost every minority group. All boats. Was it all tides? Something about all boats raised to tide. I can't remember this day. But anyway, everything essentially has increased. The border wall, replacing the dilapidated border wall that was there and actually putting in a structure which is actually helping curb and stop some of the illegal immigration, as well as negotiating trade deals and more strict deals with Mexico and reforming our asylum laws, which makes Mexico more responsible, and they're actually complying. We have more jobs than we have people to fill those jobs. More people out of poverty, more home ownership, and yet people just refuse to acknowledge that. This is the first president in a long time that's actually doing something about the criminal reform justice. You know, the disproportionate amount of young black men in prison for crimes similar to what white people are doing, but yet disproportionately punished. And yet you have a president who's actually advocating change, and yet they just want to ignore that. You know, I go back to what I've always said about these videos. You know, when it gets on these these topics and conversations, how does it pertain to this channel? Well, it pertains to the fact that you weaken America's status abroad. All right, we still have conflicts that are going on right now. There's potential conflicts with Iran. There's still potential conflicts in Syria. There's still potential conflicts in Afghanistan. You know, potentially North Korea. You know, when we are not united, we appear divided, and when we appear divided, it makes us weak. And how do you expect a commander-in-chief to be able to secure our nation and then provide the military background or the military support that is required, and to instill that fear into these other countries that would create harm if they see us as a divided front? You know, it makes us weaker in the world's eyes. That's why I find this so important, and that's how it pertains to this channel. Anyway, comment below and let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you later.